Welcome, welcome, welcome to this special conversation where I am highlighting the inspiring journey of a New Orleans native who has made a tremendous impact on education in Mississippi. I'm Jeannette Washington, an international educator, speech-language pathologist, author, and advocate for inclusive learning. Today, I have the privilege of speaking with Tiffany Nickelberry, a dynamic educator and leader who has dedicated her career to elevating literacy instruction and empowering teachers. Tiffany's journey has been marked by an impressive progression of roles, including District ELA Elementary Curriculum Lead, Mississippi Department of Education Literacy Coach, Elementary and Middle School Interventionist, and Classroom Teacher. Whew, those are a lot of hats. Her experience spans supporting teachers, guiding districts, and implementing innovative instructional practices that improve student learning outcomes. She brings a unique perspective on coaching, leadership, and literacy development, making her an invaluable voice in the conversation on how educators can evolve their roles to create a lasting impact. This is a warm and thoughtful exchange designed to inspire, inform, and celebrate the incredible work happening in education today. Take a listen. Tiffany, I'd love to start by hearing more about your personal journey. Can you share what initially inspired you to transition from the classroom into coaching and then curriculum leadership? Those are all amazing roles that you've been able to pivot and
Yes.
really expose yourself to and enable such profound impact. So tell us about your inspiration as you transition.
Oh, absolutely. First, thank you so much for inviting me on, Miss Washington. I'm so excited to be here. When I was listening to your intro, I almost had to question, like, who's she introducing? Who is this lady? So I was excited. It's interesting to hear you go through all of the things that I've had the privilege of experiencing throughout my career. So very, very good to hear. But I'm very happy to be here. I think my North Star has always been the fact that education has been what I've wanted to do since I was a child. That has been the only career path that I've seen myself in since a little girl, down to collecting all of my cousins and playing teacher and principal and things of that nature. So that always helped me go through this journey and understand what it is that I'm trying to accomplish. And so knowing that I am an educator always kind of drives me to the next step. So when I became a teacher, I wanted to know, okay, great, I've mastered this. This looks fantastic. I'm doing a good job here. What could I do next outside of this to reach more than my sometimes 33 little babies that I had in my classroom? And so the journey itself just started to manifest through making subtle changes and little steps towards something different after a couple of years, and challenging myself to branch out and give myself a shot and to believe that I can step into leadership and I can step into coaching and I can give advice to teachers and sometimes administrators on what would be best practices or how to help throughout the days. The whole thing has just connected from the very beginning. That is my North Star at this moment.
I love that. I know that many teachers find the shift intimidating. So it's really awesome to hear how you've found these challenges as a way of really building yourself up, bringing yourself to that next level, and essentially betting on yourself. You've worn many hats throughout your career.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And it is about challenging yourself, stepping out in front of people and to put yourself out there and give them the knowledge that you have is very intimidating because sometimes you're not quite sure whether or not what I'm saying is actually landing or going to work the way that you have envisioned in your mind or the way it worked when I actually did it myself. Each step has been a bit challenging and it's just a push. It's time for a new push soon. So I'm preparing myself for that. But over the years, I'm pretty used to betting on myself.
Love to hear it. As someone who has worked directly with the Mississippi Department of Education, you've been on the front lines of statewide literacy initiatives, some that have actually gone global, where there are conversations about how Mississippi has done it. So what insights have you gained about the opportunities that exist and that come with improving literacy at a systems level?
Well, working for the Department of Education was honestly one of the best experiences I've ever had as far as knowledge goes. I learned so much during that time in education, just the whole process of education. It taught us how the brain works. It taught me to learn how actually reading comprehension and reading and writing takes place in the brain, and how teachers are supposed to teach this particular skill, and how reading is just not a natural ability that we come here with. Everyone is naturally wired to speak, but everyone is not naturally wired to read. During that time, it was very interesting to see just the research behind literacy. And then to tie that in with the fact that I got to go all over the state to see so many different areas of the state, it opened my eyes to a lot of different topics that are not always looked at. And so a lot of social issues sometimes bleed over into the schools. Sometimes a lot of financial issues bleed over into the schools. And you'll see the difference in what the environment looks like sometimes. And so it's given me more of a drive to push towards making sure that education is equal. And we still struggle with that a bit in Mississippi, is making sure that the education system is equal across the board. That is something that the state level opened my eyes to, is that there is a different world outside of my everyday norm.
Wow. I love how you explained that so indelibly. I liked hearing that you were able to visit classrooms all over the state. That says a lot, and it draws you into that equality piece that you mentioned, where you see some areas are provided with a lot more accessible tools and accommodations than others. But at the end of the day, everybody has to get to that standard, that specific reading standard that has been set. So regardless if they have access to smart boards or if they are literally using handouts and worksheets, everybody needs to get to a very specific threshold of reading. I know that coaching can be transformative, but also complex. With that says, what does effective literacy coaching look like for you? And for those who are joining in, know that we'll be bouncing around to some different roles, because Tiffany Nickelberry is certainly a Jane of all trades when it comes to education. She's worked in a lot of different leadership positions, as well as positions where she's been on the ground. She had to roll up her sleeves and be a classroom teacher. So if you hear me talking about an interventionist, a coach, or a classroom teacher, that's because she has done them all. Tell me about what does effective literacy coaching look like to you? And how do you build trust with teachers who may be hesitant to change their instructional practices?
Well, to me, what effective coaching looks like is to see the teacher actually succeed. And when I say succeed, it's our job as a coach to build their toolbox and to sometimes even build their confidence in going in. And when I mean there, I mean sometimes it's a teacher, and there are other times it's administrators or counselors or interventionists, whoever is in that building. The coach and who the coach is actually coaching is to see them be successful and to see them experience some type of success. It is something that I'm focusing on now in my coaching, is to make sure to narrow down focuses. So when I come in, there is a specific thing that I'm looking for that I want to make sure that that teacher feels confident in and is overall successful. So when you see those teachers grab you after a year of coaching and say, "Hey, come look at my classroom, come see what I've done," that to me comes more than like the paperwork part of it. That to me, to watch teachers feel empowered is where I determine my real success on how well I was able to coach that particular person.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I know I'm loving quite a bit in this conversation, but everything you're saying is resonating. Everything you're saying is so vital to what we're doing in the education space as a whole. We want to be
Yep.
making sure that educators feel supported. They have what they need so then they can go into the classrooms and provide that robust, that rich experience for
Yes.
our children. So I am just obsessed with everything you're saying. Thank you so much for sharing what that looks like from that coaching point of view. Now, you've also served as an interventionist, which means you've worked closely with students who struggle the most with reading and writing. What strategies or frameworks have you found most impactful when supporting struggling readers? And how do you help teachers incorporate those practices into their own classrooms?
As an interventionist, it was quite interesting because I was a middle school interventionist. So I had a caseload that I was not expecting when I came
We
into middle
never
school
are.
from elementary. So it was interesting to see that because in my mind, intervention looks like targeted instruction where I am meeting the needs exactly of a child and every child that's on my caseload. But that wasn't necessarily the case my first couple of years of being an interventionist. So what I tell interventionists now, because we've worked the system out a little bit more, is to look at the data, use the data of the student. Don't just go on that one size fit all. Everyone in here struggles with comprehension, so we're teaching comprehension skills. That is not how we intervene our students. That's not how we target the skills that they need. So my first tip has been to go ahead on, look at the data and determine something specific that child is struggling on. And so once we find the main thing that child is struggling on or that student is struggling on, then we start to make some moves and implement some strategies to strengthen that part. And then we move from there. But the one size fit all approach I have found to be not as effective as actually targeting exactly what little Tiffany or what little Jeannette needs.
Because we need some explicit instruction. We can't just
Okay.
slip through the cracks, okay? Because we see a lot of that
Right.
where the children are slipping through the cracks and they become
Yes.
adults and they're struggling with adulthood, okay?
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
we want to make sure while we're in school, we get everything we need to succeed. One of the
Absolutely.
things that stand out about your career particularly is your ability to influence not just individual classrooms, but entire districts. I love how you talked about working with teachers and having them get that moment where they're coming to you to say, hey, look what's working. As a district ELA elementary curriculum lead, how do you balance the big picture goals of district leadership with the intermediate needs of teachers and students? I know that when you are working top down, there is a lot of people you have to please, a lot of people who want to see that data. And and data is actually a strong set or a strong suit rather for you, because I recall you were one of the teachers who had the highest percentage of students who passed a particular standardized test. Tell us a little bit about that when you were teaching.
Well, I remember that now.
It's been so long ago.
I did.
Ages.
We have a standardized, yes, we had a standardized test here in the state of Mississippi. And I have had the privilege of having extremely high passing rates with students that came in extremely low. And so it has kind of motivated me and helped my backbone with coaching to let teachers know when you get a classroom and 50% of your students are scoring below grade level, that guess what? They absolutely still can do it because I've actually done it in the classroom. I think data is so important on all levels, whether it's administrative level, whether it's the coaching level, whether it's the teaching level. The data is the key to kind of pinpointing exactly where we need to start in just the whole entire realm of education. So having that experience and seeing the success with my students motivated me to step out and on a district level, let teachers know that this can be done. It's tough. It's hard. It's sometimes kind of miserable at times because
if we're being honest.
So teaching humans how to survive. And so making sure that from the district standpoint that teachers feel the support and they also feel the connection that, hey, the person who's encouraging me, the person who is coaching me has done this before, has walked in my shoes and not only done it before, but has been very successful. So that has really helped me in my entire coaching career.
I would say that working with someone like you would be a breath of fresh air, knowing that you have been in my shoes before. A lot of times there is a lack of respect and some resistance from teachers when the district comes in or the State Department comes in. There's some eye rolling and some smacking of the lips because they feel like, who is this person? And they have not walked a mile in my shoes. Clearly, you've walked a mile plus in their shoes. So
probably a marathon. I probably ran a marathon.
You did a 5K. They should feel more comfortable with telling you a lot of their issues and things that they're struggling with, because every teacher has that one thing that they're like, I really don't like doing this, but I love doing everything else. I can see why they would feel comfortable coming to you and excited to see you because you've been there. You've been where they are. All right. So looking ahead, what do you see as the future of literacy instruction and coaching? Are there some trends or some shifts in education that teachers and coaches should start preparing for?
Absolutely. The biggest push that I have for teachers, coaches, administrators, even parents, anything, is to get used to that is this big buzzword that everyone is kind of running away from. But unfortunately, and kind of fortunately, our children, our students, all ages are very familiar with AI. And it leaves some of us who are not familiar with AI at a bit of a disadvantage because it helps the students and it helps the kids so much quicker and more advanced than what we are used to. So my advice and my push right now for literacy is to get used to AI in the literacy world. Use it when you are creating tests or use it when you are looking through data. You can even use it to ask what are the trends that students are looking up on AI right now to help you get an idea of what you may see from here on out in the future, because AI is not going anywhere in your classrooms. And it is a huge shift, especially for some of my veteran teachers who really have no idea what AI even is. So right now, that is my main push with everyone in finding a way to have a good and healthy balance with AI, traditional teaching, and just education overall and literacy.
Thank you for that. Technology and AI are transforming literacy by giving students personalized pathways to learn, practice, and grow. So I agree with you heavily on that. From adaptive reading tools to intelligent writing supports, these innovations meet learners where they are, making literacy more accessible, engaging, and equitable for every student. As a matter of fact, my son is currently in virtual school, and
Yes.
he is really enjoying it. It's so individualized. It's so personalized for him. He does have live sessions with instructors, but I mean, this has really changed the game in my household. And speaking of our households, how does the different roles you play influence what's happening in your household? Tell us a little bit about your household dynamic. Do you have children? Are they currently within the same district you teach or you work within? Tell us a little bit more about what's happening there.
I have two boys, and they're not boys anymore. You know, I get sad to say that I say boys, but, you know, they are definitely turning into young men.
Okay.
They are in another district that I do not coach in this district. I actually have not taught in this district, but we have lived in this area for almost, I think, 15 to 16 years now. So they had no choice but to enroll. It's actually a really, really good district. But my boys are extremely busy. They are busy. I think we have something every day of the week except for Wednesdays. And I would say Sunday, but on Sunday we go to church and they normally have some type of practice on Sunday as well. So every day is busy. And I had to really, really sit down and have to prioritize the difference between or put a boundary of work and personal life. I sometimes cross that boundary where I'm typing or I'm sending an email or I'm checking something while I'm at home or while I'm cooking dinner or the boys are at one of their games. But it's not often that I do that, mainly because I feel like my boys deserve their mother. And I also feel like my job deserves Mrs. Nickelberry. And so because both equally deserves 100% of what I have to give in that ground, setting the boundary, there is a separation between the two. And I really don't like, or I mean, of course, sometimes there are things that you can't help, but I don't often mix the two together. I make it very clear that I am a mother, but I also am a coach. Two different things at two different times.
Okay.
That's how I'm balancing. I'm trying.
To balance is a balancing act, right? So finding balance between work and home. I mean, I guess it begins with setting those clear boundaries, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Trying to balance the balance.
Mm-hmm. It's an experience in itself. Protecting your personal time is definitely not a sign of weakness. It's an act of self-preservation that allows you to show up fully for both of your roles, whether it is your role as a mother or your role as a influencer with the different districts. Because though you may have a specific title as a coach, you are essentially like an influencer. I don't know if you know that, but you make an impact.
I did not know that, but I'll take it. I'll take it. Add to the list.
Like we need more, okay? We don't need any more. Yes. So I'm going to wrap things up with you, Miss Tiffany Nickelberry. It's been such a joy conversing with you and hearing all about your pivots and all about how you are balancing and things that are super important, like what's the data and how that tells the story. So finally, if you could give one piece of advice to educators who want to expand their impact and be a quote unquote influencer like yourself, whether through coaching, curriculum leadership, or intervention, what would that advice be?
My advice, and I have actually two pieces of advice.
Okay.
My first advice comes from my coaching compass. I have a series that I've put out that I'm beginning where I'm giving tips and coaching tips to coaches. So if they want to tune in and I haven't touched on anything here that you may want to hear or topics that you may want for additional information, please feel free to reach out. But my last recommendation to upcoming teachers or upcoming in any profession is to build your toolbox. Make sure that you have resources, that you have the knowledge and the experience before you step in front of someone else and try to lead them. Coaching is definitely a leadership position because you're asking someone to follow what you're saying. And so in order for someone to effectively follow what you're saying or for it to produce successful results, you need to be an expert yourself and you need to find ways to build that toolbox and to build that knowledge that you have because you're going to need it when you are standing in front of someone who is completely lost.
Okay. I think that's super valid, what you're saying about building a toolbox, being able to gather the right strategies, resources, and mindsets that helped you adapt and thrive. You also mentioned that AI is not going anywhere, and that has to be a part of the toolbox, whether you like it or not. So it will equip you to tackle challenges with confidence and create that impact or that influence, because at the end of the day, we have to meet our children where they are. And right now they are on TikTok. Okay. Right now they are on ChatGPT. So where can people?
I'm right next to him. I even bought ChatGPT the monthly subscription.
Why not? I'll pay it, so it can give me some extra resources for my toolbox. Hey, I'm here for it. So tell us more about the Coaching Compass and how we can stay connected with you and we can follow you along your journey, because we're invested now. We want to be on this journey with you. So give us more insight on how we can be bystanders.
I have just launched this series. And again, like I said a few minutes ago, it's giving one tip. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 tips, but normally it's just one tip and some strategies. My videos usually don't last any more than about 2 minutes. So it's kind of straight to the point. You can find it on TikTok. You can also follow me on Instagram, where you are able to see my reels, as well as Facebook. I am currently in the process of getting a YouTube channel. And
Look at you.
So you can possibly, drop the link where I can actually upload the collection of videos. But it is rather new. I'm getting some good feedback from it. So once I get more content, I am hoping to push it out so that more viewers have easier access.
Yeah, access is the name of the game. And I love that for you, that you are expanding your offerings where people can have access to you on Facebook, on YouTube, on TikTok, and Instagram. That's 4 major platforms. Thank you for joining me for this special conversation with Tiffany Nickelberry. Today's discussion was a powerful reminder of how dedicated educators can transform not only classrooms, but entire communities through their vision, leadership, and a passion for literacy. Tiffany's journey from classroom teacher to literacy coach to district curriculum leader reflects what's possible when we combine experience, innovation, and heart to empower teachers and inspire students. The work we do in education has a ripple effect, shaping lives far beyond the walls of our schools. Let Tiffany's story remind you that growth is possible, change is achievable, and your impact matters. Thank you again for tuning in, and I look forward to bringing you more conversations that celebrate educators who are transforming teaching, learning, and literacy for the next generation.